Hello fellow humans and welcome to the episode of Sub Replays, this time with two excellent tank destroyer replays played by Mihalos, and the first one is in a T110E3. This one is a big heavy chonker. It's more of a heavy assault gun than a tank destroyer, which brings me to the first problem about tank destroyers, is that tank destroyers aren't equal to tank destroyers. A T-30 isn't a tank destroyer. This thing is a heavy assault gun, like the T-95 is as well. Meanwhile, a Waffenträger or a Grill, they're absolute paper. And that is true for other vehicle classes as well. But with tank destroyers, it is even more complicated, because the first thing you have to know about tank destroyers is that you should not ever get them if you are a new or an unexperienced player. Always start with a medium tank or a heavy tank. Ideally, something with a bit of armor. Now, the E3 and the next vehicle that we will talk about are pretty much some of the best entry tank destroyers you can go for. Why? Because they're not really requiring you to always make the right decisions, because if you make a mistake, they have the armor to bail you out. That's what that is about. And it's also not like the Panzer V100, where, I mean, you have a lot more alpha damage, but your armor and mobility kind of lets you down compared to an T110E3. And obviously the armor of the Panzer V100 is pretty good, but still, it's flat in a lot of cases. I would not recommend that vehicle as a beginner, ever, especially because the Tiger exists. So, I would go for an Object 268, a T110E3, or, I don't know, what is that Kronwagen doing? Like, did he take a shit while the brains were given out? Like, I don't know, like, his thing, right? All you need is to have a bit of spatial awareness to know that there's a guy. That's all you need, and then you're already a good player in Blitz. Like, all you need is a tiny bit of spatial awareness, and then you're good. Just look at what's around you. Look around, find out what is in front of you, what is behind you, what is on your side. Yeah, but getting back to my previous point, the third one is probably the Chinese one, the 113 whatever, because it's just a copy of the 268 with slower and a bit more armor. So those, probably. Now, something like a Foch, like a Grill, you might want to get those later, but they're not really great to begin with, certainly. But if you're a completely new player, go down a heavy tank, go down a medium tank, because those are better. Now, the problem with a lot of tank destroyers is that they require you to fight the tank to get the optimum result out of it. Like, for example, a turretless vehicle will pretty much always lose out against a turreted vehicle, because the turretless vehicle can't defend itself around the sides, while a turreted tank can just turn the turret and poof. So, in that regard, you have to fight the tank. Now, that's an easy fix. Just get your rear up against the wall, then nobody can circle you. That's all you have to do. It's very simple, very straightforward. If you're playing a tank destroyer and if a medium's trying to circle you, just get your ass up against the wall, and then they can't circle you. Now, it is a 3v3, so what you want to do here, easiest target, most dangerous target, rest. Easiest target in this case is the 57 Heavy. He's isolated, he's alone, no one's fighting him right now, and he's also the most dangerous target because the other two enemies are currently occupied with the other remainder of the team, while the 57 Heavy is sort of roaming around freely, and I can't explain that. Now, opportunity is another very big thing to consider with tank destroyers. With a tank destroyer, you have a lot less opportunities to cause damage than you do in a medium or a heavy tank. However, because they tend to have a lot of higher alpha damage, if you find those opportunities, you can get a lot more damage done. Or the same, because with this vehicle, you need to fire 4 times to get a good result, sort of. With an Object 140, you're already up to 7, pretty much, to get a decent-ish result. So at that point, you need a lot less opportunities to do well. But the amount of opportunities that you can have in the course of a battle is obviously a lot lower, because the amount of positions that you can play is a lot less. Because again, you don't have a turret, you don't have the mobility in a lot of cases to be mobile, to be dynamic, to pick where you want to go. You often have to sort of find out where the enemy is and then play off that. But in a vehicle like the E3, which isn't really a tank destroyer, it's just a heavy assault gun, you can just do what is happening in this battle and just straight up send it which does work greatly as well if you know what you're doing. Camping in a tank destroyer is not the preferred tactic. Camping in a tank destroyer happens because people don't know how to play a tank destroyer aggressively. Now, if you're playing a grill, you might think, yeah, but you gotta camp in that. Well, preferably, compared to an E3, you should play a lot more passive. But there's a difference between camping and sniping. Sniping means you're in a position far away and you're selecting targets and you're shooting at them. And then if you don't have targets anymore, you reposition. Camping means you sit in a corner and wait for something to happen. If nothing happens, you still wait. And that's bad. You're not supposed to camp. Don't sit in the same corner and wait for something to happen. It's pretty much never gonna get you the results that you want. Now, let's go into Himmelsdorf, a map that is bad for anything that isn't a heavy tank. But if you have an Object 268, which is one of the better starter vehicles, the Object 704 is a bit painful, but other than that, it's fine. Like, if you don't like those, you're not gonna like the rest of the tanks. But I do like that. Beautiful. Now, rushing like that is not a good idea. Just saying. Like, you're not supposed to do that. You have to find the right balance between taking map control and going aggressively and throwing. You want to take map control without throwing your tank away. That's the ideal. Now, what do you think of tank destroyers? Do you play them? Have you ever played them? Are you thinking of playing them? Or are you good with them? Put it in the comments. I want to know. Now, the thing is, like that. Right here, if you have a turret, you can peek a lot easier. You have to do a lot less. You have to drive a lot less carefully with a turreted vehicle than you have to do with a turretless vehicle. So it is a lot harder to play that because, again, you have to fight the being of the vehicle because it doesn't have a turret. But if you can do that, you're rewarded with, most of the time, significantly higher alpha damage, which is nice. And if you have enemies like that, like in this game and like in the last game, that is obviously also a requirement. Like, remember guys, you don't have to be good at this game. You just have to mildly pay attention to what's happening. And then you're already better than average. Right? I mean, you won't be Unicum. But if you just know a tiny bit of what's happening around you, if you have a tiny bit of self-awareness, then you're already gonna be well off. Like, for example, that KPZ, he could have known, hey, there's a tank destroyer waiting for me, I shouldn't peek. But he peeks anyway. So, with a bit of common sense, you're already gonna be above average. I don't know what that says about, but anyway. Also, aiming, preferably, helps, because 3 seconds of aiming is better than 12 seconds of reloading, especially with tank destroyers. Aim your shots with your tank destroyers. Because if you don't, you lose. Now, I'm not a fan of tank destroyers myself. I don't really play them a lot because, again, you kind of, in a lot of situations, you have to fight the tank more than you have to fight the enemy. Which is not something I'm a big fan of, which is why I don't really cover tank destroyers too much, but I just thought, might as well do it. But what do you think? Don't forget to like and subscribe. And, well, see you for the next one. Thank you very much for watching.